All right. Good afternoon. Just waiting for the things to load. Hmm. Oh, okay. Hang on a minute. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Beat and Chat live and help session with me, Fen Lee. We are currently live on YouTube, currently live in the Beat Floor Studio Facebook page, and we are not live in the Learn How to Make French Beaded Flowers Facebook group. uh, okay, not good. That's not happening today. So what I'm going to do, little housekeeping to begin with, is just to share that to the group and then we can get started. You guys know the drill. You've been here. You know the drill. Okay. Hmm. Okay, group. All right, here we go. So today it is August 1st, 2025, the first of the month, 1:03 p.m. I got distracted on my phone before I came on. So just a little bit tiny bit late. So yeah. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to another Bead and Chat and Help session with me, Fan Lee. Let me take a drink of coffee because yeah, like I said, yeah, last week, I probably would be sleeping at the 10 o'clock um, time slot. So here I am at 1 p.m. and I still need some more coffee. Mm. Still need more coffee, and things are not working. So all right, so I have my project that I'm working on, and if you are on, let me know what you're working on, where you're watching from, what's the weather like, and what are you drinking. Okay, so again, I am working on Cosmos. I did actually get a lot done this past week. So I have almost all of the flowers done. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 flowers done. I need just one more flower, the large flower, Cosmos. And I have, surprise, surprise, I worked on all of the leaves while I was gone. So I have all these leaves and I have all these sepals done. So, yep. Surprise! I wasn't sure if I was able to get anything done, but I did. So while I was away, um, my friend and I, we had a craft session on the day on Wednesday. Yeah, on Wednesday, we had a craft session because we were just so tired from all the hiking. Okay, it looks like we have April joining us from Virginia. Hello, April, and hello, Louise. Welcome, guys, girls, ladies. Welcome. April and Louise, let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're working on. Okay, so I will work on, I just need these centers, and those should be pretty simple. Those should be pretty simple. Okay. I'm gonna need 2 bead spinners. I think I only have, and I have 2 here. Oh, I have 3 here. There's beads in them. I need to take these out. I hear feet outside my door. I wonder who it is. Okay. Oh, I am tired. Tired, tired. We did a lot of, okay, so on, when did we leave? We left on Friday? Yeah, on Friday, we drove up to northern Wisconsin. My friend Heather and I, we drove up to northern Wisconsin. And no, we didn't. We drove up to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, and we did we went hiking by the waterfalls, and then we did camping in a field of wildflowers, and then camped in a tent just looking at the stars. And I think there was a beginning of a meteor shower, but we weren't sure. Heather saw a shooting star, but my eyes were closed because I was tired. So she saw a shooting star, and then there were like little flashes where we thought were maybe were lightning, but there was some celestial activity going on while we were looking up at the stars. Some celestial activity that we thought were probably, okay, let me put my feet up just to get comfy. So that was interesting. But man, it sounds, heavenly, but the bugs, we got bit so bad by bugs because it was kind of off-grid camping, which Heather does a lot, but it's my first time um, camping that's not on a, you know, campground with, amenities and whatnot. So many bugs. I got bit so bad. But other than that, like it was it was quite an experience. It was nice. I would do it again. All right. So April says, I just finished 6 zinnias, including the white one that I deviated from Lauren's pattern. Okay. Zinnias, April, are out now. I was just looking at my zinnias earlier in my garden, and they are so beautiful. There are so many variations of just some of them are taller, some of them are like not as tall, shorter, I guess, right? There's just so many variations. You can never get bored of beating zinnias because there's just so many things you can do. I have not gotten around to doing a zinnia pattern yet, but if I do, it would be, oh, dropped it. I would have so many different variations. Maybe it needs to be a zinnia book because how can you fit it all in? Okay, I need to make the center for my cosmos today. Okay, hello, Rachel. Looks like we've got Rachel joining us from Indiana, working on the spider plant from the PDF, joining me. Um, this is your first live chat. Awesome. Hello, welcome. Rachel, are you in the Learn How to Make French Beaded Flowers Facebook group? I would love to see your creations once you're done with them. Okay. What size, what gauge wire? I'm just throwing stuff everywhere now. I need to find the right wire. I don't have the right wire. Wait, I have a whole bag here. Where is it? I should have a whole bag of wires. I don't want to get up. I think this may be 20. Oh, here we go. This will work. It's not gold, but it'll work. Okay, so that was you, April. Okay. Let me turn off my volume. Let me turn off my volume on here. So it's not dinging the whole time. I should do that anyways. I shouldn't be having my phone volume on. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, that's beautiful. Let me bring that in. Okay. Add. Okay. So April just sent me this picture of her zinnia. Let me get closer and take a look. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent technique, April. Okay. Okay. Let me sit back. I need to. Computer is too far away for me to actually see, but from what I can see, it looks great. And I see stuff in the background too. Very colorful. Okay. All right. Let me get started. Okay. Let me get. Where did I put my wire? There we go. Let me get started. Get my beads, brown beads, and yellow beads. There's beads in here, beads in here. Don't need. Oh, I have. Okay, here are two colors of beads, two bead spinners. Okay, Rachel says, I am in the group, excited to start my first bead along with the Canterbury Bells. Excellent. It looks like the Canterbury Bells looks like it's a beginner-ish pattern, so I think you'll do great. For those who are not in the Learn How to Make French Beaded Flowers Facebook group, Lauren Harpster, my fellow designer and admin to the group, is currently teaching a class on how to make Canterbury bells. Okay, so 12, 20 inches. And if you like to join in the class, look for the Learn How to Make French Beaded Flowers Facebook group on Facebook. I believe she's also running it on YouTube as well, along with the Facebook. So if you're not on Facebook, you can do YouTube. Watch her on her YouTube. Bead and Blossom. Look for Bead and Blossom Studio on YouTube. Okay, so what am I doing? Leave a 2-inch tail and make 6, 7 bead loops alternating in this pattern. Okay, that's 7 beads. 5, 6, 7. So bead alongs in our group are free of charge, because we believe in making patterns accessible, because we both have, okay, hang on a sec, 3 yellow, 1 brown, 3 yellow. Okay. So because French beading is a very French style of beading at this time, we want to make the patterns accessible so that more people are willing to join in and start making French beaded flowers. So patterns, when we run the bead alongs are free, like most bead alongs are. But you do need to provide your own materials. Or you can buy the materials from us. We do have kits on our websites. So if you want to buy a kit from Lauren for the Canterbury Bells bead along, you can go to our website at beadandblossom.com to get a kit. If not, she does not ship outside of the US at this time. So You would need to buy your own beads if you are not in the USA. Okay. I need to make how many of these? 6 of these. Okay. Let's see. Oh, not enough beads, or I didn't string on enough. Even when I'm not, you know, live and chatting and stuff, I still miss beads. That's just how that goes sometimes. Oh, and then back to what I did this past week. after the after our one night of, feeding the mosquitoes, we hiked the waterfalls in Michigan, and then we drove to her cottage in northern Wisconsin and did more hiking, foraged for mushrooms, did some swimming, um, and also did some beading. Well, I did some beading. She did some embroidery. Okay. That sounds like okay. That's I feel like I cut too much in wire. Sometimes I read my patterns and it's like, am I using too much wire? But no, it continues. Never mind. It continues. That always scares me. It's like, wait, did I do this pattern wrong? But no, I didn't. It's correct. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 'Cause sometimes when you redo when you're beating your patterns from previously, it just some it's more than one time where I think I made a mistake, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. Okay, 3. Okay, so the basis of the reason why I well for these live streams is this is basically my office hours where I come on every week. I want it to be a consistent time. It's just the summer is a little bit harder for it to be a consistent time. And I've been wanting to do some sort of maybe on the weekends, but it just has not worked out. I wanted to try weekends as well, but right now it's just let's do it on the weekdays. It's what I can do, but I do want to have office hours where I come on 4, 5, where you guys can where we can be together, chat, and also for you to ask any questions on any of the projects that you're working on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. If you have any questions, then I can answer questions. So don't hesitate to put if you're having issues with any type of French beading, put it in the chat and I can answer them. 4, 5, 6, if I'm able. All right. So I need 6 of these, right? 6. Trying to read a pattern with lots of beads that I need to count. All right. Now I need made just made some loops. Just some loops. I need to make 6 of these. And I do have some, I guess, questions from either from my email or from the group that I would like to put up, and we'll chat about it. Okay, so this was in our group says looking for opinions to floss or not to floss. I've seen it both ways. Um, for me, I've always been pro flossing the stems. For those who are not aware of what flossing is, it's not for teeth, though we recommend that you do that too. You should floss your teeth as well. But flossing is taking embroidery floss, right? Embroidery floss has 6 strands, and or you can use things like silk, but generally we use embroidery floss, and we take the embroidery floss and wrap it around stems. Well, actually, I have some embroidery floss right next to me, so I will show you. So it's usually not in a cone when you go to the store, like your Michaels or something, and you buy your embroidery floss. It's not in a cone like this. I just buy in bulk for my kits that I make. So this is the embroidery floss, and there are, well, if you're familiar with embroidery, right, there's 6 strands, they're multi strands on the floss. And what we do is we wrap that, we take the floss and wrap it around the stems. And so for me, I said, yes, definitely do floss the stems. But there are other ways that you can do it. You don't need to necessarily always floss the stems. There, you can bead the stems. I don't have an example of a beaded stem. Okay. 4 yellow, 2 brown, 4 yellow. Different pattern. So 4, 6. Okay, so 8. So that's 10 beads. Trying to add. 5, 10. There's a lot of counting in this pattern. So, and I would say this pattern, Cosmos, kind of intermediate pattern. But if you're a confident beginner, I think a lot of confident beginners can make it. So 4 yellow, 2 brown, 4 yellow. But in a nutshell, personally, I would floss, but it's a personal choice if you don't want to. If you don't floss the stems, it would just be with fluoro tape. You would just wrap it with fluoro tape. If you do the flossing, you would wrap it with embroidery floss. I mean, you would wrap it with fluoro tape and then embroidery floss. And I'm actually going back to my old beaded works and wrapping them with floss when I can. I just haven't done that recently, but that is the goal, to do that. And the reason why I didn't use embroidery floss in many of my projects was because I was just on a time crunch with my books deadlines. Like if you look, like most of my PDF projects will use embroidery floss, and my book projects do not use embroidery floss. But there's nothing stopping you from flossing the stems. Okay. Yeah, these spinners are still spinning. Okay. So Rachel wants to know any tips for starting patterns with lacing for the first time. I've been hesitant to I've been hesitant to pick them before now. Okay. I would start. Oh, let me undo this first. Too much talking and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, I would start with well, actually, you are making the spider plant, and that I believe has some lacing. And I don't recall if there's. I'm trying to remember how I did the lacing there, and I did the lacing as you go, I believe. So the house plants projects is actually one of the a great place to start to learn lacing because the way that I designed that project, the way that I designed those three projects and having them in one PDF and one, it's like one class where you will learn step by step on how to make French beaded flowers. And that's how I design those three. And I do cover the lacing in there. Um, for beginners. So that is designed for a beginner with no knowledge of French beading, to pick up. Okay, I need one more bead. It's designed for beginners to go through step by step with the PDF and the video that comes along with it to just start French beading. So I believe it's either I don't recall where I started the lacing there, the lesson, but it's probably with the African violet. And I would go with it would be lacing as you go. That's what I would recommend for lacing. There are different ways that you can do lacing. You can do it after you've made the unit, or you can do it as you're making the unit. And as someone who, just I do not like going back and do the lacing, which I can, but I do not like doing that. It's like when I start like a unit and then it may take a little bit of time to start the lacing wire, but once you're done with the unit, as you are lacing as you go, then you are done. It may be, a little slower to do because you are starting the lacing wire and you're doing all that. But I would prefer the lace as you go method. And then sometimes it just depends on my mood. And I'll be like, I don't feel like starting the lacing. And then I will just make the unit first and then I will be forced to lace later. It's just one of those things. But the African violet spider plant projects, the ones that you're currently working on, is actually the perfect way to start lacing. Okay, April says, I still call myself an intermediate at beaded flowers. I don't know if I'll ever consider myself advanced. What would be advanced? Mm, okay, so let's start from, I guess, beginner projects would be you're doing your basic frame technique, your continuous loop techniques, and the continuous wraparound techniques. Those I would consider beginner because you are making one basic frame unit, like so. You have your one petal on your basic frame, right? That I would consider a beginner level. This is not a beginner level. Right here, we're doing scallops. I would not consider this a beginner level. But if you're doing just a basic frame at petal, I would say that would be a beginner level. Now, what I would consider intermediate would be, well, the scallops. When you're adding just a little bit more to your basic frame, that those I would consider those to be a intermediate type level technique. These sepals here, just I would consider this. Let me pull this out. I would consider this to be a beginner level technique. We are just it's not too complicated. We are just um, putting beads on the wire and then taking the other end of the wire and putting the beads through the wire again. I mean, through the beads again, right? Through feeding the wire through the beads twice. So that I would consider a beginner level technique. Okay, let's keep going. So with these leaves, I would actually consider it looks a lot more complicated, but once you actually do it, um, I think this is a beginner level technique because we are basically just feeding the wire through the beads twice to create these fringes, right? We're just making branching fringes, and I would consider this to be a beginner level technique. And this kind of like a beehive shape, this would be an intermediate technique because it is slightly altered from your basic frame. So this beehive, we start with a basic frame, a one bead basic in the middle, and then we bend the wire to create this kind of cone shape. So this would be if we are modifying slightly from a basic frame, then I would consider that an intermediate technique. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So now with this flower, now it's if I were to do it all, if I were to do just this, without the scallops, that would be beginner. If I have you make 8 of these, let me cover my face so you can see the petal. If I were to have you make 8 of these and then attach 8 of these petals onto a stem wire, then I would consider this to be a beginner level type of project, right? Because you are just making the basic frame, not doing anything else besides a basic frame. So, beginner. But the difference between that, like you would have to make 8 separate ones. But here, for this flower, we don't have a basic frame with 8. Well, actually, you would have 2 bottom wires for each petal. So 2 times 8, you would have 16 wires, right? You would have 16 bottom wires attached to a stem wire for a beginner level project. But for these 8 petals, we have only 4 bottom wires instead of 16. And that is achieved using a technique I came up with called the continuous split basic. So, because we are able to use certain techniques to have 8 units on 4 bottom wires instead of 8 units on 16 bottom wires, this would be a intermediate project, right? Okay, let me take a drink first. So I hope that makes sense. Um, I'm gonna keep going on April. I just need a drink first. I just don't have a. Do I have a something with a beginner? I mean, with an advanced project lying around? Um, well, actually, not anywhere near me, but my sunflower project, huge. That I would consider a advanced project. That sunflower is like the size of my head. It is huge, and I use some very, very advanced techniques where we are doing the continuous split basic, just like I did for this, right? I, but there's a lot of petals, made a lot of petals. So there's a lot of very, I guess, very specific things that you need to do in order to create that pattern. Um, and it's large. And I think the size of the flower sometimes matters. The size of the flower and also the like how much shading there is to do. So if I'm doing a lot of shading and also with the scale of the flower, that can that will change the I guess the level of the pattern from maybe like intermediate to advanced. Well, I do have an advanced flower here with me. This I have not released yet. This pattern I have not released. It is a peony. And I guess as far as it's all squished, it must have fell or something. It's just sitting here. It is squished. Now, as far as I would consider this pattern to be an advanced pattern. It's got a lot of shading that's very specific shading and lots of different shapes of petals. Now, even though I consider this to be an advanced pattern, in a way, I would, I think there are many different intermediate level techniques with the scale of the flower that I would consider this an advanced pattern. But this could be an intermediate project. So I would say intermediate slash advanced. It's not as advanced as some of my other patterns based on the techniques used. But I would say this would be intermediate slash advanced, but more advanced, but not to a level above, your regular intermediate project. Oh, oh, I just strained my arm just putting that back. So a little bit more advanced than your regular intermediate project, like the Cosmos that I'm working on, but slightly below an advanced project. So I would say low advanced. All right. Okay. Hope that helps, April. Okay. Rachel says, good to know. Decide on the house plants and the spider plant as my first one to start lacing before I even move start more complicated leaves in my other patterns. That is like I said, that is a great project to start with. And Another reason is because they are small. And one of the things that I aim to do with beginner level projects is to have them to be at a smaller scale so that you guys can finish it at a decent time. So you're not like, just so that you have something to show for it and just to get excited about a project that you've done and then move on to another project. Because in French beading, we have all these elaborate projects that we can do. If you're going to start with well, it's a step by step, right? So if you start small and then move up. I don't want you to start with a advanced level project and then, okay, let me finish this, and then just get overwhelmed and stop working on your project and just not work on it at all. So that's my thought process when I design beginner level projects. Keep it small, right? Keep it small, keep it simple so that you're excited to have something finished. All right, now I'm finished with my center. All right, focus. Here we go. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay. Moxon Grove says, how long does it take to be accepted into the Facebook group in order to join the Canterbury Bells sessions today? Um, it all depends on what Lauren and I are doing. Usually we will try to be on top of accepting people once we get the notification. So we are pretty on top of accepting new members usually. Sometimes it can take us a few days if we're busy or something, but it shouldn't be long. But make sure you answer the questions. Make sure okay, I think it's like 20. Let me measure here first. Make sure you answer the questions because there's a lot of scammers that like to post in groups, and that is our way to make sure that the members that want to join our group actually want to be members of our group, right? Okay, is there another way to learn the pattern of the Canterbury bells? I really need to learn this. Yes, you can. Like I said before, you can join the group, or Lauren also included it on her YouTube channel. So that should be up on her YouTube channel, beadandblossom.com, or go to her website at Bead and Blossom. Right. Her YouTube is, look for Bead and Blossom Studio for YouTube. But you can find her class also at beadandblossom.com if you want to. Yeah, just go there and you should be able to find the information on how to access the pattern. Okay, April says your peony is gorgeous. Thank you, April. Okay. Okay, I need to go back to the first page for the pattern. There's a lot of counting in this one. So 7 bead loops. So 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of counting today. Okay, it looks like we have Adril joining us. I hope I'm saying your name right. Let me know if there's no L. Audrey. I hope I'm saying it right. YouTube recommended me this live. Nice to meet you. I'm currently embroidering. Nice. Okay, so I do get some people that are doing other crafts just joining me sometimes, and I love that because we are just crafting together and chatting. So, and that's exactly what my friend Heather and I did this past week. Actually, was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. I was doing my beading and she was doing her embroidery. So we're just crafting and chatting, craft and chat. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so okay, it like Audrey. All right, because the computer's a bit far from me, so I thought I saw an L. All right, moving on. I believe we were talking about flossing the stems. Next, okay, a friend has asked me to post her mom some flowers as a birthday present. Just wondering if you've got any tips for the best way to package up things safe in the post. Um, it's been a while since I've mailed beaded flowers in the mail, but I used to sell my beaded flowers. And what I would do is I would just package it up, just wrap it with just in the well, let's use this as an example. The way that I would package this up, hang on. The way that I would package this up is I would put packaging, I would put, like papers or things like that. And this is not a very good example. I mean, I guess if I need to package this up, but the things that I would package up before would be like a bouquet, right? It would be a bouquet with many different flowers, kind of like roses or whatever. Let me grab something else. That might be a better example. Oof. Okay, I have this sunflower miniature that I made many years ago. So what I would do is I would crumple up paper and put it in. That's eco friendly too. Crumple up paper or newspaper, something, or tissue paper, something like that, and just fill in the crevices, right? Fill in the crevices, and then wrap the whole thing with bubble wrap. I mean, I guess that's not as eco friendly, but that's what I would do. Fill in the spaces with tissue paper, and then wrap it with bubble wrap. Another thing you can do is you can put that in a box, and then put that box in another box after you've done it, just to keep it safe. And people have received their flowers fine by me doing that. What I also recommend if you are selling your beaded flowers and you're packaging your flowers, I would recommend maybe something, a card or with instructions on how to reshape your flowers because it will get it will get misshapen in the mail or just by it being displayed and getting knocked over, it will get misshapen no matter what you do. Like my peony here, right? It it got knocked over and the center was just it got squished. So, especially if you're giving it as a gift, make sure people know how to fix it or else it's just going to look very squished. 5, 6, 7. Right. Let's do another one. Okay, let's see. First of all, okay, I'm impressed. Okay, that's not the question. Some years ago, I used beads size 9, but you use size 11s. Is this because of the delicate look or what are your thoughts? Well, generally in French beading, we don't use size 9 beads. I the standard beads that we use for French beading is size 11 beads. We generally don't use larger beads in French beading. We can for, but it's more as a, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a little extra detail or some or contrasting thing, but it would not, a larger bead would not be generally used as the main bead in French beading. Now we have gone smaller for the delicate look. Sometimes size 11s are still too big for the smaller flowers, right? Because with, where did I put my sweet peas? With these sweet peas, I use size 15s. I and you know what? Yes, it is for the more delicate look. I'm using size 15s for this more delicate look, right? There, and for the for the leaves here, I use size 11. So you can mix and match your beads with size 11s and size 15s. But I generally like, for like a size 9, I would use it like for like a berry, right? If there's a berry or something that I would do for something like a mistletoe berry or something like that, right? Then you would need a larger bead. But generally, no. So 5, 6, 7. Okay. Did I do too much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I did. I did too much. One loop too much. Okay. All right, let's do one more and then we'll call it a day. Did I do this one already? Yes, we did that. Okay, so this person is looking for a critique. Second project. What do I need to get better? So that is, well, going back to like what we were talking about with April's question about the levels of projects. I think this project is not a beginner level project that this person did. This what it was it plum blossoms or apricot blossoms? Yes, the yellow flower is apricot blossoms from my second book, Bead Flora, French Beaded Branches in Bloom. And that is not an easy project to do. For as a second project, I am very impressed because I mean the petals look small, but it uses the continuous split basic technique, which is an intermediate level technique. And additionally, there's twisted fringes, which is a, um, how can I say this without swearing? Which is a bead to make, right? The twisted fringes. I mean, it's a beginner level technique. I would say the twisted fringe is a beginner level technique, but it can be irritating to do sometimes if you do it a lot. I made a lot of twisted fringes for my second book, like because of the nature of the projects, of the flowers, the theme of flowers that I did. There were a lot of twisted fringes, and I have not since designed a flower since when did this book get published? 2022, I think. So in the past 3 or 4 years, I have not designed a flower using twisted wire fringes because I just got so tired of making it for all the book projects. So that is not a an easy, I mean, it's not hard, but it can be irritating. So just let me look closer. I can't see the pedal techniques that well, but it looks good. The wire fringes look good. The buds was also, I don't remember if it was like a beginner level technique or not, um, but it looks good. My only critique would be when wrapping the stems with the fluoro tape, try to have it more smooth and not as I see some lumps and bumps here and there. Um, but and also maybe I I guess work on the shaping of the flowers, but those are just, nitpicky things. Usually I don't critique on the nitpicky things like the shaping and stuff like that, but I think that can be the shaping can be improved, the wrapping of the stem can be improved, but that comes with time, right? So other than that, I think it looks great. Technique looks awesome. So just a little some little nitpicky things. So all right. I think that is it for me today. And I only got one unit done in this whole hour. But but the thing is there was a lot of counting. If it's something that I can do without thinking too much, then it would go faster. But because of all the extra counting, it took me a while in between the talking and the counting, right? So, but I should have this done by next week. I'm going to make an effort to get my. I'm going to make an effort to get all of this done so I can assemble the cosmos. And for those that have not joined me in the past few weeks, I have been working on Cosmos for the past 3 or 4 weeks because I am working on this trellis project. Maybe I can move the camera back a bit so you can see my trellis. Put this down. Okay. So you can see my trellis, moving my table back. Right. Okay. And the flowers on here are from my last couple of years. They're samples from my last couple of years of classes. Um, Sweet peas, wild roses. Oh, yeah, so far, sweet peas and wild roses. Oops. I want to, okay, here we go. So this trellis is about almost 5 feet. It is right now in a pot. Let's see if I can show you can't, you can't see the pot, but there's a pot here. I'll just move the camera. There's a pot here in the trellis, and that's why I'm making the cosmos. I'm making the cosmos so that it can be planted in the pot. Ooh, so that it can be planted in the pot of this trellis. I came up with this idea, what, of, of putting the flowers on the trellis around last May, and I'm still working on it. Still working on it. I've decided I want to do cosmos, and I might do some of wild daisies. All right. Well, since I can move my camera today, I'll just move my camera. Yeah, that's my mess of flowers there. So I'm gonna add the wild daisies here and I put the wild daisies in the pot. So that's what I'm gonna do. I didn't mean to show my mess. But it's fine. I'm sure you got your own messes, so it's fine. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. And let me see. Let me check my calendar and let you know when I'll be on next. Probably Friday. You guys prefer the 10 Central or the 1 Central PM? 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. Central? What works best for you? Mm. I did the 1 p.m. today because I know I would not be able to get up in time since I just came home last night. Um, and sometimes I prefer the 10 a.m.s just so that I can get my office hours done and then, hang out and do things with my kids. So next week on the 8th, I think I will do at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time just I can so that I can have the rest of the day to do things with my kids. So when September come when it's the fall again, then I can have a consistent time with when I do these office hours, when I do these feed and chats. But for the next 3 to 4 weeks, let's see, 4 more weeks. In these next 4 weeks, it'll just be inconsistent. So it just depends on the week, right? So, man, summer's almost over. Summer's almost over. Where did summer go? It just ended with like last week. Like since it started, I've just been running back and forth with my kids, and it just finished. So we don't have any activities um, planned out yet. So we'll figure it out. But anyways, next week, what was the day? Next week, August 8th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. April says 1 p.m. Sorry, April, I'm going to be doing 10 a.m. And I'm going to make sure I have to make sure that I get up in time. So, all right. Thank you everyone for joining me. And